What's up, everyone? It's me, the Osprey, and this is the Osprey Nest. In my past few videos, you've been hearing me talk about the Sega Saturn, which is one of my favorite video game systems. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably thinking about getting a Sega Saturn yourself, too. But before you rush out to buy one, there are some things you need to keep in mind that'll save you a lot of trouble and a lot of money. Now, this particular version of the Saturn is the Model 2 Saturn, introduced in 1996. The original Saturn, released in 1994, was gray, and these two buttons here were oval-shaped instead of round, and they were blue. That version of the Saturn was also released in North America, but it was black instead of gray. The Model 2 Saturn was released in North America, but that version was also all black instead of white, with gray power and reset buttons and the pinkish red disc open button. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering why I went with the Japanese version of the Saturn over the North American version of the Saturn. The main reason why is because of supply and demand. So when it comes to choosing a Saturn, the Japanese version is definitely the least expensive bet. When it comes to the North American version, you will spend a lot of money for it, even if it's just the system by itself without any cables and connectors or controllers. And it can sell for a lot of money even if it's in bad shape or if it doesn't work. The Japanese versions of the system are much cheaper because the system sold much better in Japan. Personally, I prefer the Model 2 Saturn over the Model 1 Saturn. But the thing is, since this system is white, it is prone to turning yellow with age, so you have to look carefully at pictures of the system before you buy it. Now, some of you might think it's a good deal to get the system bundled with other games and controllers, but when you get a bundle, there is a good chance that the system you're going to get might be yellowed with age. So your main priority is trying to find a Model 2 Saturn that's in good, pristine shape for a good price, as long as it has the cables and connectors, and even if you have just one controller. I had to purchase these games for my Saturn separately. I didn't exactly get these games the day my Saturn got here. I had to wait another day to play it, but good things come to those who wait. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can find a Saturn bundled with other games in good shape, but the only drawback is by getting the ones you want, there is a chance you might get one or two games you probably won't care for either. I actually prefer doing it this way. When I got my Saturn, I was lucky enough to get one that came with two controllers. Some sellers will give you the option to choose your system and your accessories and games for it. It's always best to do some research and look around for the best deals. And just like the Japanese Saturn and the North American Saturn, the Japanese games are much cheaper than the North American games. I paid about $12 for this Virtua Fighter game, $16 for Sega Rally Championship, and this Street Fighter collection, which comes in a 2-disc pack, was about $40. If you found any of the popular North American Sega Saturn games today, you'd most likely spend anywhere from around $120 to $250 per game. They're that scarce. so the Japanese games are definitely much cheaper. In terms of shipping, the Japanese Saturn games can have expensive shipping prices, and it might take a little while for them to get to you. But the good news is you can get these Japanese Saturn games from US sellers, sometimes with free shipping, and they'll usually get to you much quicker. But what if I want to play North American Saturn games on my Japanese Saturn, or if I want to play Japanese games on my North American Saturn? Well, that's where this comes in. Action Replay Plus. Just pop the Action Replay cartridge into this slot here, and you're good to go. Another thing I forgot to mention is that the Action Replay Plus cartridge is also a 4M RAM expansion, and some Japanese games like Street Fighter 03 and Metal Slug require this cartridge for better performance. And the best part is, you can still get an Action Replay cartridge brand new on Amazon for only $40. And one last thing, which is extremely important. If you're gonna buy the Japanese Saturn, it's also not a bad idea to get one of these step-down boxes from Amazon. Now, Japan is one of the very, very few countries besides the US that actually uses the Type A plug, just like North America. But the thing is, the standard voltage in the US is 120 volts, while most Japanese appliances only use 100 volts. The standard Saturn AC plug will work just fine in a North American outlet, but over time, because the North American outlets have a much higher voltage rating, that will eventually, over time, burn out your Saturn system. So it's better to be safe than sorry and buy one of these, because I'd really hate for you guys to be playing your system a lot and then ruin it. I highly recommend the Sega Saturn if you're interested. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.